The moment my sister pointed at me across the living room and said, "She ruined the party," I felt every conversation stop breathing. Glasses froze halfway to lips, music kept playing, cheerful and wrong, and in that quiet pocket she created, I realized something important. She thought I would stay silent like I always did. The party was supposed to celebrate her engagement. Balloons brushed the ceiling. Our mother had spent the entire afternoon adjusting centerpieces that didn't need adjusting. Everyone kept telling my sister how radiant she looked. How lucky her fiancé was. I stood near the window with a plastic cup in my hand, watching condensation drip down the side, already exhausted. I'd helped plan this party, paid for parts of it, smiled through every demand, and still, somehow, I was a problem. She said I'd embarrassed her, that I was negative, that I always do this. Her voice had that practiced tremble, the one that made her sound wounded instead of cruel. I recognized it instantly. I'd grown up with it. When we were kids, she used it to make teachers believe I was a bully. As adults, she used it to make rooms tilt in her favor. I asked her calmly what she meant. She laughed, sharp and dismissive, and said everyone knew. She said I had a habit of sabotaging her happiness. She said I couldn't stand not being the center of attention. Her fiancé looked confused, then concerned for her. That's when I noticed people nodding along, relieved to have a villain that wasn't them. I felt something settle in my chest. Not anger, not fear, certainty. Because for months, I'd been preparing for this exact moment without even knowing it. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thin folder, plain, blue. Nothing dramatic about it. The sight of it alone made her pause. She frowned like a child who senses consequences but doesn't yet understand them. I told her I hadn't planned to bring it, that I'd hoped I wouldn't need it. My voice surprised even me, steady, almost gentle. I said I loved her, and that was why I kept quiet for so long. The room leaned in. I opened the folder. Inside were receipts, bank statements, printed emails, screenshots with dates and timestamps highlighted. I'd organized them late at night, after another call where she cried about money, and I transferred funds without asking questions. I hadn't been building a case. I'd been trying to understand my own life. I explained, slowly, that over the past 3 years, I had paid for more than half of what she called shared family expenses. The party deposit, her dress alterations, emergency rent when she forgot to tell her fiancé she was short, a weekend trip she said was for work but posted photos from later, smiling with cocktails. Her face changed as I spoke. Not outrage, not denial, calculation. I kept going. I said I didn't mind helping, that I never had. What hurt was being told over and over that I was selfish, unreliable, jealous, that I ruined things. I showed them messages where she thanked me privately, then texts sent minutes later to our mother saying I'd refused to help. I showed the transfer confirmations that lined up with those lies. Someone near the kitchen gasped softly. My sister's fiancé reached for her hand, but she pulled away. She laughed again, too loud this time, and said I was twisting things, that I was obsessed with money, that families don't keep score. I nodded. I agreed. Families shouldn't have to. Then I turned the page. The last section wasn't about money. It was about the party. About how, 2 weeks earlier, she'd emailed the venue to change the invoice name from hers to mine. How she'd told them I was a host. How she'd asked them to CC me on any payment reminders. I read her words aloud exactly as written. The room went very still. I said I hadn't ruined the party. I had saved it, quietly, like I always did. I said I didn't want an apology. I wanted honesty. I wanted her to stop using my silence as a tool. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared at the folder like it was something alive. Then she whispered my name, the way she used to when we were kids, and she wanted something from me. I closed the folder and put it back in my bag. I told her I loved her, but I wouldn't be her cover anymore. People didn't clap. This wasn't that kind of story. Conversations restarted in low murmurs. Someone turned the music down. Her fiancé asked if they should talk privately. She nodded, still not looking at me. I left early. I walked out into the cool night air and felt lighter than I had in years. Not victorious, free. The next morning, my phone was quiet. No accusations, no apologies. Just silence. And for the first time, I understood that silence can be a boundary, too. If you want to hear more stories like this, stay close. There's always another truth waiting.